True with Guns America, we are the 2025 Next with Sig Sauer. I've got Josh here, and we're looking at a rifle that has been updated. It's the 516 Mohawk. Josh calls it something else. What do you call it, Josh?
516 G3 Mohawk.
Because that's what it is.
Yep.
But it's been updated to be more modern, fully ambi. It's got, I shot it yesterday, and it might be the softest shooting piston rifle I've ever shot.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, it was actually insane. And in fact, my question for Josh today is going to be, we have an adjustable gas block, we're piston driven. This now has a side charger on it, which is a really cool feature. The one thing that is unlike the MCX in is that it doesn't have a folding stock, has a traditional buffer. But my question to you, and you have no idea this is coming, is why would I buy an MCX when I could buy this? It's lighter, it shoots softer. Like, what is, I mean, is this not a badass gun? What am I missing?
No, so this is, you know, I've been with SIG for 8 years now, and I've worked on, you know, all of our major rifle programs, and this is my favorite rifle that we have made to date. Now, I'll say the MCX is actually lighter. So the MCX LT, you know, depending on barrel length, so the MCX LT is about half a pound lighter, so it is lighter. You know, and the LT does give you... I have an old
Virtus, and it's like a 13.5, and it's definitely heavier than this.
Yeah, the Virtuses were a little bit heavier than the LTs, but the LTs are a bit lighter.
Okay.
You know, I think the MCX is still like our premier flagship 300 blackout gun. Sure. And I think it's kind of earned the legacy as like the 300 blackout platform.
Right, but this is, I mean, this thing shoots so soft, and it's so much less expensive than an MCX.
Yes, yeah, it absolutely will.
And it's actually like, I mean, the MCXs are always hard to find. You guys seem to never have them in stock. So, I mean, honestly, what are you giving up with this? You got piston, it's soft, it's not heavy. Yeah. Like,
so, and that's really, you know, what we did when we came up with the 516, just to give you a little quick history on it. The 516 G2, for those guys that have been around that gun for a while, that is like a awesome platform that has a very great reputation as just being a workhorse gun. I mean, it runs through any ammo you put through it, any environmental condition. We were talking with an LE guy earlier today that had one that put 40,000 rounds through it. At one point, he had his receiver crack from rough handling type stuff, and he was still running it for another like 10,000 rounds after that with his receiver crack. It just runs no matter what. So what we did is we said, look, we want to take that legacy as a reliable workhorse, but the problem with the G2 was it had a quad rail handguard, it had an exposed gas block. It just wasn't very modern, right? So what we did is we said, hey, look, this gun has a reliable legacy. How do we go ahead and build on that and give it an update? So what we actually did is we took all of the rifles that SIG has made, right? So MCXs, the Spear, all those guns, and we said, how do we pick the favorite things about each rifle and incorporate it into this one system? So that's where, you know, side charge comes from the Spear, ambi bolt catch from the LT. The gas system, we kept true to the 516 because the gas system is what made that gun so reliable. You talked about the soft shooting. Gas system is huge in that, right? The piston on this is much bigger. You've got a lot more mass behind your piston, which helps with that. Than the MCX is a real small, right, lightweight piston. It's a faster shooting gun, meaning faster carrier velocities. With that buffer tube, AR style buffer tube, you're getting a little bit slower carrier velocity, which helps with the recoil. The other thing, same thing that we talked about when we were talking about that firing pin latch on the hype, that's incorporated in this.
Interesting.
So I've got a really good, well-sprung gun that I don't have to worry about that whole issue of slam fires, which makes it even more reliable, softer shooting.
So just for those of you that haven't seen the hype video, we talk about in there that all AR-15s from all manufacturers have the issue of a floating firing pin. And if you overspring your buffer and buffer spring, it can actually strip around and push it in the chamber, and the firing pin carries enough inertia through to set that round off. And so it's kind of a slam fire issue. But SIG has sort of fixed that by having a capture essentially for the firing pin, so they can spring this heavier, not have to worry about that. It's safer, more reliable, all that stuff.
Absolutely.
Okay. All right, guys, you saw it here. This is the SIG 516 G3 Mohawk. I don't know that SIG's calling it the G3 Mohawk, but it's the 516 Mohawk. It's a piston-driven gun, 16-inch barrel, fully ambi, side charger, soft shooting. I mean, I was able to stick this on a piece of steel and just pull the trigger as fast as I could yesterday, and I mean, I hit every single shot. It just tracks right back on. Very impressive gun. So make sure you guys like, subscribe, and share. We appreciate you running through this with us. Oh, hey, before we do this, I've got one more just sort of zinger for you here. Sorry.
Throw a curveball.
So I don't know how many of you know about this, but the hybrid ammo, the 6.8, is the steel-based, high-pressure, 80,000 PSI. The military is testing and using 5.56 in the same configuration with high-pressure, like 80,000 PSI 5.56. If that ever becomes available to civilians, which I don't know whether it will this gun handle it with the updates that you've given it? Do you know the answer to that?
Yeah, we've absolutely had that vision, right? You know, this gun is obviously commercial use, but we focus this gun on the defense side as well. So we absolutely have a roadmap for that. You know, this system will certainly have a availability to have that.
But this is strong enough the way that it's built now to handle that, should that ever be something.
If that becomes a thing, this gun will be built to withstand that.
Okay. Okay. All right. Appreciate you guys watching. We'll see you on the next one.